My name is Jolanta, and I would like to share a beautiful testimony with you, an experience from my life. My husband spent the last 2 days of his life in a palliative care unit. My then 27-year-old son and I accompanied him during that entire time. We were in the same room by his bed. During this time, he received no IV drips. He received no pain-relieving medication. He was leaving us in a fully conscious way and stayed in contact with us the entire time. At some point, he raised his hand and pointed to the wall opposite his bed, and he said, "It opened. Look, it opened there." Of course, I saw nothing, but he kept gazing at that wall, and his eyes opened wider and wider. And I just kept watching his eyes, and they became more and more clear, like those of a little child. I saw that he was looking at something wonderful, and at a moment he began moving his lips and said, "Heaven is beautiful, heaven is wonderful." And he kept repeating it, and on his face, one could see that he was truly seeing something supernatural. I then asked him if he saw angels, and he nodded. He also added that he had many, many friends and that everyone was cheering and rejoicing. He was surprised at the joy they had in them. And at one point, he said, "And Oma is there." Then I asked him which Oma, since there must be many of them. Then he said in Polish, he said babcia, which is grandma in Polish, and I knew he meant my mother, who had died 15 years earlier. And my husband said, "She says she loves you very much." At that moment, when he spoke the words "loves," I felt as if warm oil was poured all over my head and spread through my whole body. I asked if he saw Jesus, and he nodded. And when I asked him if he saw any word from the Bible, he said he saw Psalm 45. In the next episode, at a certain moment, I noticed worry on my husband's face, and he told me that he saw his biological father in a place where he did not want to go. And he said that his biological father began to accuse him, saying that he too had been a communist, and he deserved that place. Then I asked my husband, "How can I help you?" And he said, "Pray for me." Then I began to say out loud, "My husband's name is Janusz." So I said, "Janusz is a child of God, and the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, has freed him from sin and death." And after that, I noticed a smile on my husband's face. And then I knew for sure that he had been freed from that accusation. At one point, my husband said he was watching a film about his own life and that this film was amazing and that he could correct the decisions of his life in it. Then he put his hand on my hand and he said, "Teach me." Then I asked, "Teach you what? Why are you saying that?" And then he pointed with his hand to someone standing by the foot of his bed and he said, "Him, he says it." I asked, "Who?" "Well, he." My husband thought that I could see this being too. So this angel also told him why he was sick and exactly what time he's going to leave his body, and everything happened to the second. My husband was not at all aware of the fact that he was dying. That dimension, the portal which opened before him, took away every sense of death. The spiritual dimension was so real in the room we were in that at one point I thought to myself, how good it is that he can now cross over to the other side, while I must stay here and continue to struggle with life. And I even got a desire to go with him. But then, in one moment, my husband said, he says, "I will leave now, but you will stay here." And then I knew that my thoughts were being communicated with the being standing next to him, because I had not spoken them out loud, but only thought of them. At one point, my husband began unbuttoning his shirt, and I asked, "Do you want to change?" He said, "I will be dressed." And I said, "Surely the angels will dress you." Then he smiled and placed his hands on the bedspread. It was between two dimensions, the earthly and the spiritual, and sometimes he mixed them up. And at one point, he raised his hand. He took some kind of a little cup that was handed to him. He put it to his lips, drank from it, and set it back on a tablet. The next day, exactly at the hour, the angel had told him at 2:30 p.m. he left his body with a deep and long exhalation. Not a single tear, not a trace of sorrow appeared on our faces, neither mine nor my son's, because we knew that he had gone into the kingdom of light. The entire funeral ceremony was in white coffin, white flowers, at my son's request, and also without any religious ceremonies. And the funeral guests, after hearing this testimony, were deeply moved.